Hey y'all, I'm Brooke Hoover, a Louisiana native, actor, writer, and comedian. I've lost 100 pounds through diet and exercise, or shall I say, lifestyle changes. My 20-year and counting health journey has taught me that just like taking a diet pill for weight loss, body positivity doesn't magically happen overnight. I'm working on regaining my self-esteem and rekindling my love affair with Cajun and Southern comfort food in a healthier way, all the while juggling eating as clean as I can, reestablishing myself in the entertainment industry, which, as we know, is historically fat-phobic, all the while showing my inner fat girl some love. That's fat with a PH. Pretty hot and tempting. Let me tell y'all a tale or two. Can we insert that sound effect? Just like imagine with me here that it's like that doo 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 kind of that's not the actual song, but a very nice sound effect and some birds chirping, perhaps some woodland creatures in the distance. And you're waking up in the morning and you start off with a 30-minute meditation sound bath, like you knock that little gong thing, boom, and it's a sound bath. You start meditating. You don't have any crappy, poopy thoughts entering your head. Then you have a nice, calming cup of dandelion tea. You sit and you journal for another 15 minutes. And then you do an hour of yoga. And then, only after then, can you start a perfect morning. Insert record screech, fart sounds, record screech, come to a screeching halt sound, insert all that. That's mainly me not having to search for stock music or pay for music. I made my own sound effects kind of. My morning is usually, really does start off with a, and it's usually me walking downstairs and forgetting that my dog Annie is a senior citizen and she tries to go on the weeby mat, and sometimes she does not quite succeed. In all fairness, our new floor is a little crazy, so I think she can't quite see what's the wee mat and what's the floor, and I end up stepping in her poop. And it spirals me into a day of, oh my God. And I do want to start the day meditating, doing if I could speak, doing Kundalini yoga. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I wake up well before the alarm clock of my dog. And, it's probably usually from anxiety. I'm like, oh, let me do Kundalini yoga. I'm saying Kundalini yoga. For the love of God, I mean yoga nidra. God, I'm getting my yogas confused. I should probably do some yoga. Needless to say, yoga nidra is the yoga that is kind of like mimicking sleep. So if you have missed out on sleep, it's great to do yoga nidra. Some people do it at night to help them sleep. I do it in the morning if my anxiety wakes me up well before the alarm clock and I have like 2 hours to spare. So I'll do like an hour and a half of yoga nidra and try to catch Annie downstairs before she poops and pees and let her outside. But usually sometimes I will still let her outside. She'll run back in because Minu, one of the cats, swats at her, scares the shit out of her. Then she'll come back in and pee and poo. But she still loves Minu. That rhymed. And then it's like a whole thing. And then the spiral happens. And I think this whole podcast today is about when life isn't ideal, which, I mean, is life ever really ideal? Like, meaning, do you ever have like 2 hours where you can have time for your me time, from your coffee, for your tea, for your zen time? And then how do you don't? And if you do, please, can you like be my intern and like help me with life? And moms, I'm really looking at y'all. I really don't know how y'all are doing it. How do you do that when you're a person in this world? How do you especially do that when you're a caretaker? And I've told myself this kind of like poopy lie that just because my circumstances aren't ideal, and they're sure as hell not fat with the PH, that if I can't carve out like at least 45 minutes a day for my quote unquote self-care, then I'm going to have a shitty day. I've told myself that. That's not a good thing to tell yourself, right? Because when are you ever going to necessarily have that much time? The same goes for like creativity spurts. I think I've told tales about that in the past on this here podcast, that I'm very much all or nothing.
And it doesn't always work like that. You have to find those like baby increments of sanity and of time. And it's hard. It's hard. It's really hard. And like the question is like moms or dad moms. By dad moms, y'all know what I mean. Hey, modern day dads, what up? How do y'all do it? I don't have kids and I'm going crazy. Taking care of someone is hard. I've just mentioned my dogs and my the feral friendly cats we feed. I chose to have dogs. I love them to death. I would step into traffic and take a bullet for them. No joke. I love the feral cats. I don't know that I would quite take a bullet for them just because they're cats. Sorry, cat people, but it's the truth. Um, I didn't choose to have parents. I mean, none of us choose to have parents, right? That's not how it works. But I have chosen to help them as much as I can. But then again, I'm an only child. So do I really have a choice? Sometimes I wish I could be like the absentee sibling and like live in Tuscany and just be like, I'm done with it for a few months. I'm done with them. Y'all figure it out. Figure it out, Thaddeus. Thaddeus would be my brother because that would have been the name of the boy my mom would have had my mom had a boy. My name would have been Thaddeus if I was who's that fat boy. Um, but that's not the cards life has dealt me. Like I said, I'm an only child and oh, whoa, ho, ho is me. But I get it. A lot of folks have it a lot harder, a lot harder. But unless you're a caretaker or in charge of your parents' well being and your parents' life, as I essentially am for my dad right now, you just don't quite get it. We can choose whether or not to have children. Oh, but wait. Well, can we? Depends what administration we're going to be under. Oh, God. But y'all know. Yeah. We're taking a pause here because that's a whole other topic. That's a whole other podcast right there. So, in a nutshell, when you haven't been dealt ideal cards, when you don't have a lot of resources, you don't have a lot of money, you don't have parents that are in the best of health, you don't live by both of your parents haven't planned for any emergencies at all, your parents don't have a nest egg, and you're caretaking for them, you just work with what you got. That's the point. And I am essentially taking care of my dad. Um, while I'm 1,300 miles away from him, I will soon be going down to Louisiana to help him with a big move. He not only had to be in the hospital to have a toe removed for necrotic skin on his big toe due to diabetes. His landlord, the landlord's late landlord's son, dropped the bomb that they will be selling the home. So my dad has to vacate, and he got this news while he was in the hospital. So that's going to be super fun to box all that up. But yeah, the cards aren't ideal right now. Again, they could always be worse. I'm always like, could be worse, and it could be worse. I don't know if that's a like way to make you feel better or not, but anyways, it's a way for me to not get so victimy. We'll talk about that in a second. So while yes, I am a caretaker, an absentee caretaker of my dad, and kind of running his life for him, like all of his business side. I'm like the production manager of my dad's life. I can't be the production manager of his life and my own life and my mom's, even though my mom makes it a lot easier for me than my dad has. I'm also the caretaker of my mom. As many of y'all know, she lives with me. She was just outside the door sitting with Archer, the dog, and they were like chilling. And I was like, dude, y'all got to move. I need like some peace and quiet to do my podcast. So it's just like it's just a lot of pressure. And I don't want to sound like I'm like whining. I'm fixing to cry because, there's a lot of people who are going through a lot more difficult stuff. And I was raised by my parents, and I do applaud them for this, to not be a complainer. But y'all, sometimes that's why you got a podcast, so you can complain to your listeners, because I'm sure a lot of y'all, we're in the same kind of demographic, most of my listeners. And I know that because I look at analytics. So I'm sure you are caretaking in some shape, form, or capacity. And may be a lot more difficult than what I'm going through. And that's why I'm getting emotional, because I don't want to seem like I am dismissing anyone. I'm going to share some things I'm learning and hope it helps with you. This is kind of like a self-care arsenal, if you will, a little poo-poo platter. You can choose what you want, what works for you, and it's in no particular order. So I've noticed that as a lot of my you're mine, a lot of you fellow you what's the word, you active listeners, you diehard fat fans, fat with a PH, y'all know I don't really eat dinner. Like, I literally it's like 5 o'clock and I have had dinner already. That's it. But I'm a breakfast person, and as a caretaker, I don't know about y'all, but I am usually hitting the ground running. So don't skip breakfast. Don't. Or if you're one of those people who don't need to eat till later, don't skip lunch, or don't skip your mid-morning snack. Like, no. Or if you have to bring someone to a doctor's appointment, bring a snack with you. And ideally, make sure it's protein. Again, my vegan, vegetarian friends, y'all know what to do. Do some tofu and cinnamon. I don't know, do something that works for you, but get that protein in. And if you are a coffee person, eat protein and or a healthy fat with it. I love to do this. I have been back to drinking a little bit of iced coffee in the morning. I know I have a whole episode about coffee, but it's just what I've been doing. I'll talk about ritual in a moment, self-care ritual. Eating this Catalina Crunch cereal, which is a keto cereal. It's like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but it's like made with pea protein, and it has a lot of protein. To me, it tastes wonderful. Only slightly cardboard-like, which I don't mind. And I put a lot of that runny, basically the organic Trader Joe's peanut butter with it, unblanched peanuts. Who would have thought you can't have blanched peanuts anymore? Like that's a killer, supposedly. Anyways, so protein, fat, iced coffee, boom. Otherwise, the iced coffee or the coffee, the caffeine will make you jittery, right? You want to like tamper the anxiety, because as a caregiver, you're already firing at all ends, especially if you're a parent and a caretaker of your parents or other loved one. I have begun doing the iced coffee again, but it's mainly because I've been working a gig for the past 2 weeks, which I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for the knowing the time that I'm working. That's helpful, because I hardly ever know what times I'm working or what days. I like the ritual of going to the same place. I love the location where I'm working. It's like the Hudson Square area, so just south of the West Village. It's a very like peaceful, melodious walk, if you will. Like, I almost make myself hear those birds and woodland creatures in the morning when I go to the deli and get the iced coffee. I've made friends with the people at the deli, of course. And that's like my me time. That's my like ritual where I'm like, nope. I used to like, maybe call my dad or like check emails about like the healthcare situation, or be walking on the city streets and searching for stuff. I'm like, no, just make this time for yourself. It's a 10 to 15 minute walk. Make it work for you. It's your time, Brooke. So I'm saying, y'all, find a ritual. Doesn't have to be 45 minutes, and make it like your time. Don't check any BS emails or texts. And I'm saying BS. I mean, they could be crucial emails. Don't do anything except for like just notice around you and like be grateful for that moment as well, because you're probably not going to get another one that day. That's just how it is. And speaking of, as I take a deep breath, working on your breath work, even when you're not in times of stress, is very important. That way your mind and body already know how to go back to it. So Rita, one of our coaches, we have a whole episode with Rita Savoya about different breath work. Super helpful. But box breathing, y'all. In for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. That's a helpful and easy one. Or just make your exhale twice as long as your inhale, because the exhale calms you down. But some sort of breath work where your mind is focusing on the breath. Another thing for self-care arsenal, get some sleep. Get some sleep. And I love when people say get some sleep like I don't know, get some vitamin D, get some sun. It's not as easy. It's a lot easier to get some sun than it is to get some sleep. You know what I mean? Not so easy. While I'm actually in New Jersey, while I'm where I live at my own home, it's not so bad for me to get some sleep. But when I go down to Louisiana to take care of my dad, all the Bach Rescue Remedy, CBD oil, reishi mushrooms, melatonin, chamomile tea in the world don't help me from that wake up at 3 a.m., which is really 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'm waking up even earlier back home. Instead of like fighting the fact that I can't sleep, I kind of just say, screw it. I embrace it. And I lay down and try to do yoga nidra. I don't know exactly. I wish I could quote this source. I feel as if it was definitely a yoga teacher. I don't remember which yoga teacher, but they said that they had a smartwatch, to measure the sleep, and the they it they did yoga nidra for an hour, and the smartwatch thought that they slept that hour. So yoga nidra is pretty powerful. It's basically just taking you through different parts of your body. It's like a body scan, if you will. That's the best way to put it. So if you don't want to do yoga nidra, just look up a body scan meditation. For me, as an actor, as a creative, as a very physical person, physical, that works better for me for meditation. Body scan meditation or yoga nidra. And also, if you wake up that early, you don't want to meditate, draw, doodle, read, stretch, fart. Hey, sometimes I made a few fart noises today at work and it actually felt pretty good. Fart noises out of my mouth, not out of my butt, sillies. And if you're someone who's like, I don't meditate, I don't meditate, or I don't have time to meditate, they say, and by they, I might mean Confucius, or I just might mean genius people out there. They say that you're the exact person who needs to meditate if you think you should not meditate. Another thing, just walk, just freaking walk. I have a membership to LA Fitness, and Harry and I have not used it because we'll just go walk. We don't always go out on dates. We just go walk for like 30 minutes to an hour, depending. I've just been walking to move the cortisol when I can. Again, when you have that time. Again, you might not always have time to do your exact ritual, but do what you can when you can. Baby spurts. I remember a dear friend of mine. She's also a fellow podcaster, Amanda. She was taking care of her late mom, who passed recently from breast cancer. And I saw a video when Amanda had moved back to Texas. Her and her husband, they had recently done their dream life of moving, I believe it was to Belize, and set up shop there. And then her mom got diagnosed, and Amanda's like, oh, going back to Texas. And there's a video of Amanda and her mom is chilling with her, and Amanda's doing jumping jacks in the living room with her mom because she's like, I've got to get my exercise in. And her mom used to listen to the podcast, and they would like do things together while they listened to the podcast. So I'm like, yeah, that's good. Get it in when you can, folks. If I was like doing jumping jacks in front of my dad, he would probably say, that's like, get in shape, girl. Do y'all remember that thing? It wasn't like skip it, but it was like get in shape, girl. It was from like the early 80s. And they had like these like waving ribbons you can wave, and like sweatpants and little hand weights. That was like a whole thing. Get in shape, girl. Anyways, so that's a walk. Just walk. Another thing I'm doing lately, because I'm actually going somewhere where I'm not dictated on exactly what I have to wear, which is usually on film sets, they're telling you what to wear, or I'm not wearing athleisure because I'm not working from home. So I'm like working like kind of like a quasi job, if you will, where I get to pick out what I wear. Wear something cute every day, even if it's just your socks, even if it's just your headband or a piece of jewelry or underwear. If you like to wear cute underwear, I'm all about comfort. So I'll leave room to the imagination about that. But yeah, I'm not necessarily always one on, ooh, let me wear cute underwear and let people guess. No, I'd rather wear like cute socks or like a cute little piece of jewelry or something. Wear something cute, Another thing for caregiving, try to step away from like resentment or victim mode or why me. It doesn't help. Or let's let ourselves wallow in that. Set a timer. Set I think that's called the Pomodoro technique, where you have like 15 minutes, 45 minutes on, 15 minutes off. Do the reverse, like do 45 minutes of something productive and then 15 minutes of wallowing, and say, that's it for the day. No more wallowing. I'm not going to have every thought or every experience go to wallow or resentment or anger mode. Preaching to the choir on that one, because I tend to get very angry. On that note, don't sensationalize. Don't life or death it. And yes, caregiving can be life or death. But as you're going through the whole process, try to take it step by step, one step at a time. Don't jump to conclusions. Again, taking your breaths, doing the box breathing, doing the inhale and exhale twice as long as the inhale will help you, and by you I can mean me, from that sensationalizing, where that brain will want to sensationalize or jump from A to Z. Don't jump from A to J even, just step gently from A to B. And it really will all play out that way. Another thing, in conversations with folks who tend to feed into those negative parts of yourself that you are trying to reframe. People are going to have their opinions. It doesn't make those opinions aren't facts. Same goes for your own negative thoughts. Your own negative thoughts are worrying. They're not facts. Shut it down when someone's talking. Just like walk away. Just say, hey, gotta go poop. That always stops people. Or the email, if you're emailing or texting with someone and they're one of these people that feel like you have to like end a conversation. There's two types of people who feel like you have to end a conversation, like your AOL instant messaging with someone. Okay, talk to you later, bye. Or those other people who just like will leave a text open, which I kind of do sometimes. But when I'm texting with certain generations that might be a bit older, they want kind of more of that AM messenger style, like gotta go, talk to you later. And that's what I'll do. I'll be on text, I'll be like, gotta go. Poop, talk to you later. Something like that. If they've said something that I'm like, I'm not going to go down. Stop fueling my fire. There are people, they mean well, people want to help. But if they're just fueling your negative fire, step away, On that note, be receptive, be open to getting help, but also see the above. Sometimes asking someone offering to help and then you asking them for help and them shutting you down, or them giving you so much help, quote unquote, that's actually worse than just doing it all yourself. That's what I think. So I'm a little funny on that, but instead of like asking people for help or like being like, I need help, I'm saying to the universe, I'm receptive to help. I'm releasing old patterns of I could do it all myself and saying, hey, universe, help me. Because I might not want XYZ person's help, but I might want God to like put that right help or person or solution or puzzle piece right in front of my face, Be vulnerable. It's okay to be vulnerable. I was talking with a friend who is also a caregiver, and she's like, Brooke, I've never cried with so many people in my life at the time that her mom was passing away. She said, Brooke, I cried with doctors. I cried with nurses. I cried with strangers, like in the waiting room. And that makes me cry because I'm thinking about this particular person. And they are super strong. And I don't like to be like, you are strong. And like be like, but this person is usually always the one who's helped me. So I think the point is that none of us are rocks or islands, like that, is it Simon and Garfunkel? But like that song, we do need to be vulnerable. And I think when you're vulnerable, that's when you're receptive, and that's when the right help comes along. All right, say no to drama. Say no to commitments. We'll talk about that in a second. Again, say no to when people are pushing your boundaries, including those who are demanding caregiving of you. I'm working on boundaries with my dad because there are some things I just can't handle. I just have to tap off, or he will continue to not do certain things on his own. And it doesn't mean like I'm not going to like get him a spoon if he needs to eat. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking more about like life things. Just to fill people in, my dad's cognition is 100%, 15 out of 15 on the BIM scale. So it's not that. It's more so like things that he can handle that he is having me handle because he knows that I will do them, and I will do them in a timely manner because my dad is a lawyer and he's always had people who work for or with him. So he's essentially doing that with me now, but with his life. So there are times when you will have to say no, even to the people you're caretaking for, and you will know when that's right or not right for you. I'm obviously, again, not saying do anything ever that's cruel to the person. I think y'all know where I'm coming from. And the biggest thing, and this is what's inspired this podcast episode, is instead of praying or asking, however, you may believe what your faith is, or, the way in which you have a spiritual practice, instead of praying or asking, please make my situation better, let's change that ask or prayer to, please help me handle this situation better. Right? Because the situation might not change, but the way in which we think and act and react, that's what we need to be praying for. So y'all, back to saying no to things. On that note, dear Lord, I hope I don't get too emotional. While this podcast brings me a lot of joy, I love it, I obviously have to take a pause from it. I'm taking a pause to help my dad to focus on that, because this podcast might seem like I'm just in my little closet. My YouTube friends see my scarves and my bras. I do think I have really good audio quality, though. I have had some great guests. I want to really step away for about a month or two, maybe 3. We shall see how things go, how much shit hits the proverbial fan. Proverbial shit hits the fan, or maybe real shit hits the fan, depending on how well my dad or I are doing health-wise. And we'll go from there. It's not goodbye. Definitely not. Definitely not. There are so many more episodes I have. There are so many more guests I have lined up, but they know that I'm taking a little bit of a pause, and they know that things are going to be back up after after I've helped my dad. I just don't know exactly what the end goal, the end is on that situation. So I want to thank everybody for listening. I want to thank y'all for humoring me with all your like I just said, positivity, with your kind comments when people ask me, hey, I want to talk more about this, and we talk like privately about, something I brought up. I love doing that, y'all. So this podcast isn't going anywhere. I just really, it's a job in and of itself, and it could be so much better. Like I could have like a prettier setup, like with a neon sign, like those podcast people with neon signs, things, the techie stuff. Sorry, microphone. Speaking of the techie stuff of things could be a lot better. And I feel like I'm just not giving enough perfection. So I'm dealing with that as well. And, I think I have good content. I freaking know I have good content to offer, because it comes from my heart, and it comes from experience, and it comes from research, and it comes from finding, I think, really wonderful guests as well. And my stories are thought out. So the intention is nothing but good. So I also will be looking for a podcast producer, but all of this is going to take a lot of, like I said, in one of these things up here, step by step, to refer to the New Kids on the Block banana pudding episode. It's going to take a lot of steps, and I'm too overwhelmed right now. And I don't want to say my dad comes first, because that's a given, but if I'm talking about self-care, if I'm doing a podcast that's like comedy meets health and wellness about my Louisiana roots, I've got to take time for my Louisiana roots. And one of those roots, as stubborn as an old root in the ground that won't come up, but that you still love, is Hoover Bob, my dad. Y'all, I don't know yet, but I might be doing a GoFundMe fundraiser for him. So I would love it if y'all could stay tuned to my Instagram. If you're my friend on Facebook, if you want to private message me at contact brookehoover@gmail.com to get on a mailing list. He will need some help, and every $5 really helps. So I don't know how we're going to do that yet, but there will be a GoFundMe, and I could really use y'all's help. No, I'm not saying necessarily with donations, but with sharing that and spreading that word. So please get a hold of me. Y'all know how to contact me. And again, it's not goodbye. It's just like a little bit of a baby pause. That's all. Baby pause. Like little pause. Like Prash Kibbles, Annie, Archer, all the little ones I was just bitching about their poop earlier on in this podcast. A little pause for a cause. Peace out, y'all. Much love.
Thanks so much for listening, y'all. It is my hope to inspire, uplift, and entertain you with this Who's Dat Fat Girl podcast. So, if you're hungry for more, you can book me to speak or perform my solo show that inspired this podcast, Fat Girl Costumes, written by yours truly and directed by Brian Lady at your virtual or in-person event. Please visit brookehoover.com/fluffybuttproductions or email me at contactbrookhoover@gmail.com for more info. And let's follow each other on Instagram. I'm at Brooke Hoover, and the O's in my name are not the letter O, they're zeros. Not because I want to be a size 0, but because I guess I'm just so clever with my late 90s Yahoo self. And if you like this podcast, which I really hope you do, please give me a 5-star rating and write a review on Apple Podcasts. And most importantly, share this with your friends, family, and other people you may know who are as fat as we are. That's fat with a PH.